welcome to our second installment of Hawk Talk as we take you behind the scenes with the Monmouth University Athletics Department. This is episode number 2, and my guest this evening is the 22nd season head coach of the Monmouth women's soccer program, 4-time reigning MAC tournament champions. It's my pleasure to welcome to Hawk Talk the head coach, Krissy Turner. And Coach Turner, how are you doing tonight?
Doing great, Eddie. It's great to be here. It's great to see you, and I'm excited for the opportunity to talk about my program.
Yeah, we're excited as well. We're so lucky we get to cover the women's soccer program at Monmouth, which has been so successful, really going all the way back to when Coach came over to the university. And Coach, I think we should start where a lot of people like to start, and we'll take a chance to look back at a tremendously historic season last year. We'll look ahead, but I think what everyone wants to know first is how you, your family, obviously, we wish you continued safety, continued health, how you, your family, and your program are dealing with the current situation that we all find ourselves in.
Well, when the decision was made to send everybody home early right before spring break, obviously we were, right in the midst of getting ready to play a game in 2 weeks, for our first spring competition. So we were in the midst of training and preparing for a spring season, and really I think a really good place as a program. Obviously in the spring, you don't play with your seniors. So we had a group of 17 young ladies that were working really hard and really focused on, what the task at hand was. And we were going to spend a lot of time working on individual development this spring. And really the games weren't going to be the big focus. It was just individually getting better and having the approach that in order to do that, you need a lot of repetition. So when we left, I thought we were in a really good place. And we thought maybe we would be coming back. But unfortunately, the situation is such that that's not really on the table, at least for right now. So we're doing the best we can with what we have and communicating with the players pretty often, and really just trying to take our lead from the university, and continuing on basically where we left off. And one of the things that we've been doing is spending a lot of time on personal development, building our team culture, and really just trying to fine-tune certain aspects of a program that you don't really need to be doing on the field. So to give you an example, we've spent a lot of time just before we broke, right before spring break, to focusing on our establishing core values. I think as a program, we certainly have a great culture. We have established a ton of success. We have tremendous student athletes in our program, and I think we have a lot of things that everybody knows, but not everything that was really on paper and really clarified. So we decided to establish some core values, 2 for on the field and 2 for off the field. It was very much directed by the players as far as which words we were going to choose and how we were going to build those words. And I think we're even in a better place now than when we left as far as that conversation goes. And I think often in coaching, you're so worried about what's happening on the field and developing the players on the field and the chemistry on the field, that when you have opportunities to build that off of the field and individually develop each player as a person, I think sometimes we get lost in that in the overall scheme of coaching. And so at this time, because that's really all we can do, we've spent a lot of time on it, and it's been, I think, really great conversations. I think our players have truly bought into what we're trying to do as far as the culture of our team. And the 4 core values that they chose were hard work, discipline, being respectful, and being trustworthy. So the 2 on the field are the hard work and the discipline, and the 2 off the field, obviously, are the being respectful and being trustworthy. We've taken those conversations and really just fine-tune those. What do they mean? How do we define them? We have a quote for each one. And now we're really in the stages of even building that even more, where we've created accountability groups. We've incorporated the new the incoming class into those groups. Now it's up to the players to hold each other accountable for those values. But I've been very impressed with the group. The coaching staff's been very impressed with how much they've bought into the conversation and how they really seem to be valuing these values and how we can just continue to build the culture and make it even better. So it's really been unsettling that we couldn't be together and we couldn't be on campus. But I think in times like this, you need to make adjustments, you need to change, and you need to figure out how you can still make your program better.
So one of the takeaways that, please everyone watching, get your questions into me now. I almost forgot to remind you of that. We will be relaying questions live to Coach Krissy Turner. Any question you have about not only the women's soccer program at Monmouth, but her time as one of the best soccer coaches in all of Division I, please make sure that you give us your name and your town so we can give you the proper credit for getting that question in. And Coach, one of the words that you said as part of your core values stood out to me. And a few weeks ago, a letter that you penned to the Monmouth community was on social media. It's still on the Monmouth University Athletics website at monmouthhawks.com, where these archived Hawk Talks are. You use the word discipline. I would just venture a guess that someone who has had as much success as you, those core values that this team and you and your staff talked about, things that have probably driven you first as a great player and now as a great coach.
So the word in my letter came.
You can go, Coach. The floor is yours. It's kind of the beauty of our live Hawk Talk series, by the way, is these are the challenges we're all facing now, right? Working from home, working remotely, and Coach, I'll give you the floor. And it's not often that people want to hear my voice, so I don't blame you. But the word discipline that was in the letter that you penned on monmouthhawks.com and all over the social media as well, I'm sure that's a word that has been important to you and your success, both personally and as a head coach for, I'm sure, going all the way back. No, it seems like we're having just a brief technical issue with Coach. What we're going to do right now on this on our second edition of Hawk Talk is we're going to take a brief timeout. When we come back, we'll try to check all the connections. We'll make sure everything is up and running here as you continue to not only get more inside look into the Monmouth University Athletics Department and the great coaches and personalities that we have here at Monmouth University, but also get your questions in for head coach Krissy Turner. We already have one coming in. I'll make sure to relay that question to Coach, as well as continue the conversation with the 22nd year head women's soccer coach at Monmouth University, Krissy Turner. It's after a brief timeout here on Hawk Talk. We welcome you back to Hawk Talk, second episode here. And again, this is a live program, which is what makes it fun. And also, at times, like everything else, working from home remotely now, sometimes technology wants and has its own plan for things. But we are back and joined by the 22nd year head coach of the Monmouth women's soccer program, Krissy Turner. And Coach, you kind of updated everyone on what the team has been doing, how you've been doing. One of the words that I'd like to pick up here that you mentioned before is one that you put in a letter on Monmouth social media. It's on MonmouthHawks.com now. Your kind of letter to Monmouth fans and to Monmouth supporters. And the word that stuck out in that letter that you mentioned was discipline. And I'm sure that that's something that you hold near and dear as a value, having all the success at Monmouth and beyond that you've had.
Well, I think it's one of those values that anyone can have, but it's not easy to have it because I think you have to go about your daily habits. You have to go about everything that you do and have a disciplined approach to. And I think the reason that I felt it was so important to include it and make it the focus of the letter is that now all of our players are doing online school. So when you're in school online, if your professor is not hosting class via Zoom at the assigned time that you normally had it, you have to make sure that you are doing the work that is required on your own time, not at an assigned time. So I think they need discipline in the classroom right now. We are, due to NCAA rules and regulations, we're not really allowed to control, what they're doing from a fitness perspective or their touches on the ball and that type of thing. So we've really tried to emphasize to them that the team that stays the most disciplined during these challenging times is going to be the team that will be most prepared when we do return. And our focus needs to be that everything is going to stay on course, as it is. We'll be back August 5th for preseason training, and that needs to be, our approach. So they need to be running on their own. They need to be sticking to what will be the summer workout program and really just doing everything that they would have been doing had they been on campus. And now they integrate that into their life at home. So I think discipline, is a huge thing. But what's really interesting is we had a great Zoom call yesterday with Carly Lloyd, who is a legendary player for the U.S. women's national team. She's from South Jersey. So we were able to get her on our Zoom call. And the core value that she believes is most important is the hard work piece. And, we talked about it within our team that the discipline is showing up and the hard work is what you do when you do show up. So Carly really emphasized to the group yesterday how hard work and being really fit just is something in everyone's control. When she was a younger player, she talked about how she wasn't really fit and she just was super talented. And at that time, that was enough. And now that she's playing on the world stage, being really fit is something that she bought into. She understands that she can control it. And she told the team, everyone can be really fit. It's just a matter of how hard you're willing to work and do you have the discipline to be able to go and get it done. So I think from a performance standpoint, those two values were what the team selected, and I think from a coaching staff perspective, those would have been the same too. They're right on point. People who know me know that I have a very disciplined approach to to how I live my life. I mean, right now during quarantine time, I run more miles probably in the last 5 weeks than I have in 3 months, because it's just something that I feel is going to make me maybe feel better. When I did my PhD, I graduated last year with that. That was all online, super disciplined to be able to get it done. Because in a PhD program, the way that it was structured, I could still be doing it now, and the university would still be taking my money, and they could let me stay there forever. So I had to be the one to make my own deadlines and my own timelines, and I think that's something that our program takes a lot of pride in, and I think that's one of the keys to our success the last 10 years or so, staying super disciplined, and especially in these times, I think the teams that are able to stay disciplined will be the teams that will come out on the other side, and have positive fall seasons.
Well, a point you just brought up is the subject of our first question. And it comes in from Catherine from Monroe. And Catherine has been to games at Hesfield on the Great Lawn. And she wants to know, Coach, and again, it's a point that you just brought up, how has earning your doctorate degree helped make you a better coach?
Well, I think that's a great question, and I have to give a lot of credit to Dr. McNeil, our director of athletics, who encouraged me to pursue that degree. Something that I didn't think was something I was capable of doing, as far as from an intelligence perspective. I just was always a hard worker and a grinder and a get it done kind of person. And during the course of that challenge of doing it, there's only one other Division One women's soccer coach that has a PhD on the women's side. And I think it's made me a better coach because, one, it forced me to have to learn about topics that I probably should have learned a lot more about as I was growing as a coach. And I had to do research on topics that are so instrumental to building a team and building a program. Topics like team cohesion, topics like leadership, because my topic was how athlete leadership has a relationship with team cohesion and athlete satisfaction of Division I female student athletes. So I think the degree has taught me that if you stick to something and you have the discipline and you have a desire to achieve it, that you can. I also think it's made me a better coach because it sort of brought me back, I would say, to really look at what I value as a coach. And one of the things that I learned in my research was that coaches, we want leaders. We want great leadership from within our team. But the research shows and showed me that we don't do enough as coaches to build leadership from within our teams. So what we started doing was making that a point of emphasis 3 years ago by having conversations about this is what leadership means to Monmouth women's soccer. It may mean something to some other team, but to us, this is what it means. And this is how we're going to go about developing our leadership. We did activities to build our leadership. We had lots of guest speakers, some alums, some people from campus. And basically, we tried to structure it around having female leadership, people in leadership positions that had been successful. And I didn't ask them to structure their message in any way. I basically said, I want you to talk about how leadership is important, in your line of work, how leadership matters, and the idea that what does leadership mean if it's done correctly, and what does it mean if it isn't done correctly. And I think by having, basically developing my own leadership program and including these, outside people, whether they were alums or people that we were familiar with, to speak about it, it just kept hitting home the same messages over and over again. How communication is super important, how you can be assigned a leadership role, but those aren't the only people that need to lead. And so we have a saying in our locker room that we need a leader in every locker room. We need every player on our team to be leading in some way. The other thing that I found from that research that I think has made me a better coach is that leadership is hard, and leadership is not for everyone as far as the entire definition of it, but everyone can lead in some way. So trying to identify characteristics of players from within our team and how they can go about leading in their own way, and not forcing it upon them. And so I think the degree has been very meaningful to me, and it's something that I'm really proud of. And I think it has made me a better coach. I'm a way better coach today than I was 5 years ago, and I'm a lot better than I was 10 years ago. And I think as a coach, you need to continue to keep growing. And once you think that you know everything and you stop learning, then I think the game then will pass you by.
Well, a few words that you just said that kind of stand out. You mentioned leadership. You mentioned achievement. You mentioned being self-motivated. Well, Coach, all we have to do is look at the team that the program you've built at Monmouth, and those words really bear themselves out on the field. 4 consecutive MAC championships, going to the NCAA tournament, add on to those all the regular season titles, winning against ranked teams, and this group that you had last season graduated such a large group of upperclassmen. But I don't want to put you on the spot, ask you, comparing teams versus each other. but what did that group that just accomplished so much with your women's soccer team in West Long Branch, who will now be leaving your program? First, what do they mean to you here at Monmouth on the field? And then what will they be doing? I know some big time things. I've seen it on social media when they go and leave Monmouth.
Well, I think one of the things that makes the group of 8 seniors so special is from the day that they arrived. When they came in as freshmen, they were really bought in to everything that we asked. And what I mean by that, and I can give lots of examples, but it really started early on in preseason. Some of them, I think Anna Lazor won the mile, which is our first preseason fitness test. So she's a freshman and she comes in and really sets the tone. And then other freshmen were right behind her. And then we had, in preseason, we always have a talent show, which is always extremely entertaining, especially the coaches when they are up on stage. But they wanted to win the talent show, and they did. And then we had a Halloween party, and they won the competition for that. And they just wanted to win everything. And I think each of them individually had unique and different careers. Some of them were headline players from the start. Some of them earned those headlines later on in their careers. Some of them were unheralded players on the field for us. Some of them were tremendous leaders on and off the field for us. Some of them were the passion and heart and soul of this year's team, even if they didn't play a lot. They all played a huge role, whether that was early on in their career or later. But as a group of 8 young women, the legacy that they left behind was to always do your best, to work as hard as you can, and to buy into what the coaches are asking. I believe that group trusted us from the minute they got here. And so therefore, we then entrusted them to carry the program the way that they did. As far as individually, what they're going to be doing when they're leaving, it's really phenomenal. The growth that they've each shown as individuals. Deanna Graziani will be starting up with PT school at Thomas Jefferson at the end of May. Anna Lazor will be going to PT school at Rutgers, hopefully starting in the summer. Amanda Knob, hopefully, will finish up as the student athlete with the highest GPA in athletics. She's just below a 4.0. She'll be continuing her master's degree program, which she's already started at Monmouth in criminal justice in the fall. Jess Johnson, who is an NCAA post-grad scholar, will be continuing her master's at Monmouth in the fall in social work. Maddie Gibson is currently over in Lithuania, hoping to return to playing very soon. But she went over to Lithuania right before the pandemic situation started. She played in her first game midweek, scored her first professional goal, and then the league was shut down. So she's still over there, hoping to, I'm sure, return stateside real soon. Dana Sheriff will be going over to England, to Durham University, to receive earn a master's in human resources and play soccer for Durham at the same time, which is a great opportunity, for her. Lexi Palladino will be finishing up at Monmouth next year, and I think I got everybody. Did I get everybody? Oh, Esther. And Esther Wellman is Esther is a young lady who is majoring in political science at Monmouth. She probably has, I would say, the heart of a champion and the heart of kindness and sweetness. Esther is one of the nicest kids that I've ever coached. She's in the debate club. She's in the Model UN. She went to India in January with the interim provost, Professor Dada. She also went over to England in January or February with Model UN and competed. She is hoping to be accepted into the London School of Economics as a possibility for her in her future. But due to the pandemic, some things have been moved around for her. But her goal is to make the world a better place. And she says that with genuine honesty and heart, and that just tells you, what kind of person she is. But the 8 of them have left behind, a tremendous legacy, not only as athletes, but as students, and not only as students, but as winners and as leaders and as just tremendous young women that represented our program from the very first day to the very last day with the ultimate class, dignity, and respect. But I will say, just to add just a little side comment, that Anna is probably, my most favorite player of that class. And the reason is because Anna, once on accident, but that's sort of not as important, texted me that she loved me with lots of hearts. And it was an accident, but she professed her love to me. So Anna will always be my favorite.
It's quite the group, and as you mentioned, on the field, off the field, and all you have to do is see how they carry themselves. I think the term, if a person is a winner, it's more than just one aspect of life. And you mentioned it, nothing but success is going to be in those now former student athletes' future. We do have a question coming in. And again, if you'd like to get your questions for Monmouth head women's soccer coach Krissy Turner, just have to throw them in the chat here on our live Hawk Talk episode 2. Those questions get relayed to me, as does this one coming in from Michelle. And Coach Michelle wants to know, in your opinion, how has the Monmouth University athletics program, all sports, grown in the last 2 decades?
Well, Michelle, I think that's a great question. And I think, it's grown absolutely leaps and bounds from, the moment that I arrived on campus. From a facility standpoint, it's not even, doesn't even compare to where it was. Our facilities are first rate. I think the university, has grown from Monmouth College to Monmouth University to being a name that's not only recognized regionally, but now nationally because of the success of our athletic teams, whether that's our team or basketball or men's soccer, track and field, football. You could go on and on about the success of all of our 23 teams at Monmouth. And I think a lot of the credit has to go to Dr. McNeil, who is our director of athletics, and the tremendous job that she does in supporting her coaches and fighting for her coaches and doing everything that she can to support us on and off the field. We're also very fortunate right now where we have a new president, and President Becky, who's done a great job since the moment he's come to campus and really believes in the student athlete experience and believes in supporting the teams, whether that's being at the field, on game day, we're sending emails and just really having a very visible presence on campus. Monmouth is a very special place, and it's a place where I feel very fortunate to be the head coach of the women's soccer program, and I've tried to embrace that since day one. But I think the programs are really in a great place, and hopefully we can continue, over the next decade to elevate all of the programs and to elevate Monmouth University, on the national stage.
Another question coming in for Monmouth head women's soccer coach Krissy Turner here on Hawk Talk. And before we get to that question, we want to remind you, if you missed tonight's live show, you can catch this in a variety of places, really. It will be on MonmouthHawks.com. It will be here as a Facebook Live link under the video section on the Monmouth University Athletics Facebook page, and it'll also be up on the YouTube page as well. That's youtube.com/MonmouthHawks. Here comes that question now, and it comes from Lynn, who's in Jackson. And Coach, Lynn wants to know, what are the traits that you look for in a student athlete in recruiting?
Well, recruiting as a head coach and a staff, you can have all the knowledge about the game. You can have lots of motivational tactics. You can run a great program. But if you don't have the student athletes to play, you're not going to really have much success. So recruiting, I think, is one of the most important components, to our program. What do we look for in a recruit? We look for someone who is a talented student in the classroom. We look for a player who has yet to reach her potential. We look for a player who will continue to work to want to get better, not only as an athlete, but as a soccer player. And we look for players who have high character and are going to do whatever it takes to put the team first. So if you follow our team closely, one of the things that we've been able to do over the last several years is identify talented student athletes who were very versatile in what they could bring to our team. So a player who maybe was a goal scorer in high school and could score goals with her club team, we converted her to play outside back. And so our outside backs really love to get forward. So in the system that we play, your outside backs need to be some of the best athletes on your team. And they have attacking qualities and personality about them because they were always an attacking player. So I think that we're looking for quality students. We're looking for quality athletes who we can make better as soccer players. And then we're also looking for quality as far as high character that are going to put the team first.
So the questions continue to roll in for Krissy Turner, and our next one comes from an alum from the program. And Coach Danielle Axelrod has a question for you. And Danielle mentions you did name a favorite player, but she wants to know, and she's going to put you on the spot. Happy she did it, not me. Can you name a favorite team that you've had the chance to coach at Monmouth? And she also added in, she's thinking it's somewhere between 2012 and 2016, but she's probably being a little biased.
Hi, Danielle. It's nice to hear from you. I don't think I'm going to pick a favorite team because I think each one in the last 22 years has had a moment or has had many moments that I would look at as favorite ones. And I think if you look back on it, it's really all about the personality, of the team. And each team has a different personality. Now, when you were here, those 4 years, we definitely had personality. But I think each team has its own personality. And I think that over the last 22 years, I'd have to say I have 22 favorite teams.
Oh, Coach, that's a great answer. That is a very experienced veteran answer. I do like that. Questions continue to come in for head coach Krissy Turner, and I have to actually go to my phone to read this one, so excuse the look down. Coach, everyone knows how good soccer is here in the state of New Jersey. You recruit the state of New Jersey as well as anyone. What about soccer in the Garden State makes it so good?
Well, I think if you go back in really the history of the last 30 years, you go back in the history of the last 30 years, you're gonna have the same comment that the powerhouse ability of girls soccer in New Jersey is second to none. You can look at our women's national team and all of the Jersey players that have played for our country and represented New Jersey on the world stage at this point. And I think the club coaches deserve some credit for that. I think we've got a lot of really talented high school coaches, and I think it's just a sport where there's a lot of young female athletes that are playing it, and a lot of them have a great athletic ability about them. And really, to be a successful college player, you have to be a great athlete. It's not just about having the technical ability. You have to be able to have pace. You have to be able to have speed. And then you've got to be able to combine that with being a good soccer player. And I think New Jersey's always had great talent. And I think because of the success of that more and more young female players want to be a part of that success. And that just has allowed the state to really grow in the game and continue to produce high-level players year in and year out. So we're very fortunate, that Monmouth University is not only a mile from the Atlantic Ocean, but, in the state of New Jersey, because that's our home base for recruiting. 65% of our team, I think, hails from the Garden State. And I think that we don't just recruit in New Jersey, but there's really talented players. And my staff and I have done a tremendous job of identifying a lot of, diamonds in the rough, players who weren't the most heralded players from where they came from or didn't play on powerhouse club teams and had unbelievable careers for us, and players in our program right now who fit that mold. We've we've done a really good job of identifying players who just fly a little bit under the radar for a variety of reasons, and we've been able to have a ton of success, with those types of players, which obviously was really evident, this year in our result at Texas, which I think is a very defining moment in the history of our program. To go out there and to win 4-0, but to do it in the fashion that we did it. It was 3-0 at the 28-minute mark, which was a hydration break due to the temperatures. So we didn't just, go in there and steal a win. I mean, we dominated from start to finish. And I think that, having a strong base of Jersey players has helped build our program to the level that it's at. And we're going to continue to try to identify, players who are great players, and then also those players from Jersey that are a little bit under the radar that can continue to help, build our program to get to the point where we want to be at, which is to win a first round NCAA game. This year we fell just a little short of that, but that's our one goal we haven't gotten to yet. And we're going to keep trying and keep pushing and keep developing and keep working until we can achieve that goal. And then, we'll move from there after we're able to do that.
Another question coming in for Coach Turner. I haven't even been able to get mine in because all of these questions keep coming in for head coach Krissy Turner. And Coach, question coming in, interesting one. Is there someone in your life, be it on the academic side or on the athletic side, who you consider a very influential mentor, maybe someone that you still keep in touch with to this day?
Well, I think I've been very lucky in that I've been able to surround myself not only within my staff, but within Monmouth University and just within my personal life with a lot of people that have the same passion and that have the same interests and the same goals that I do, which is just trying to be the best at whatever it is that you do. And if I had to pick one person, I would probably say my husband, because he's super passionate about Jersey girls soccer and has been a college coach for a long time and is my best friend. I think in the game of soccer, from a female perspective, I don't think that there's one person. There needs to be more females involved in soccer, from a college standpoint, from a high school standpoint, from a club standpoint. And I would say if I had to pick a second mentor as far as a leader for me, I would say Dr. McNeil.
Wise words. No wonder, it's not too hard to know why Coach wins so much, because great mentors close to you. And that's why one of the reasons all of this success. And I bet if we asked Coach some of your players that question, I think we know where that answer would go as well. And we looked back at the team last year. I want to take this opportunity to look forward now. This group does graduate a lot of players, but you bring back a ton of talent from a championship team from last year. All you have to do is look at the all-conference list from the MAC that come out and the all-region selections. So just quickly, for the fans, everyone watching, just your expectations for the team, hopefully this coming fall.
Hey, Eddie.
Oh, sorry, Coach. Let me, I'll reiterate that.
I wasn't able to get that.
Yep, just your expectations. No problem at all. Your expectations for your team, 4 straight tournament championships. Now moving forward, you lose a lot of players who played significant minutes, won a lot of awards. But your expectations for this team next season?
Well, I think our expectations continue. Our expectations continue to remain the same. People will say to me, "Oh, you're going to be rebuild." We've never focused on rebuilding. We've just focused on reloading. And while we're going to have a very young team in the fall with just 3 seniors, and we're going to have 11 freshmen. So youth will definitely be, on our side, but youth can be very invigorating, and youth can bring, freshness and newness to the program. With a freshman, some of them are going to play some significant minutes. Some of them will probably have to, wait their turn. But the returners, of which there are 17, many of them have been part of 3 championships. Many of them have been part of 2 championships. And a handful of them have only been a part of 1 championship. But I think, as I mentioned earlier about the senior class, I think right now the coaching staff, we have a lot of trust in this group. They pick trustworthy for a core value from themselves, but trust works in both ways. The coaching staff, we're feeling very confident about this group. We have some questions about who might play in what position and how it may all fall into place, but we're really excited about the 28 young ladies that will be in our program from August, and the expectations, they don't change. We're expecting to compete for a regular season title. We're expecting to get to the conference tournament. We're expecting to be competing for a conference title, just like we have, for the last many years. So I don't think our expectations are changing. I think the personnel will change, but I think that can be a real positive for us, because a lot of young players are going to get a lot of minutes. And I think the returning group is well aware that people are thinking that maybe Monmouth women's soccer is going to fall off because of the 8 players that we have graduated. And I think the more that they sense that, I think the bigger the chip on their shoulder is going to grow. And I think that they will rise to the occasion, and we will be competing, playing better soccer than we ever have, and playing the same type of brand that we have been the last several years. We're going to be super athletic, and I think the expectations are very high, and I think that they should be. We've reached a point in our program where we can be very selective in our recruiting. We have lots of choices and hard decisions, to make, that Coach Flynn and I talk about on a regular basis, about what type of players do we want to bring in, who do we want to bring in, and how do we want to go about it. And it's a great place to be as far as being able to be selective. And we're not going to be rebuilding. We're reloading, and we're excited about, what's going to be in front of us. We've got a great non-conference schedule, and obviously the game that really stands out is the match against Rutgers, because in 2018, we went up there and we won 2-1. So that's a game that will definitely be circled, in the players' minds, because many of them were there for that game, and we got a great result, and that'll be the game that, sort of will be the feature match. But there's some other very difficult non-conference games, in that schedule. But we're excited about the youth of our team, because we have some really talented veteran players that, are, I think, going to be, in some regard, players that haven't played a lot in the past couple years, because they were just behind super talented players in front of them. And now it's their turn, and they've embraced that, and they know it, and they're excited about it. And then I think we'll have a few, new faces step into the lineup and be able to really, contribute. But we have a lot of talent on our roster, and I think it's a really great time, to be a Monmouth women's soccer player. And as always, it's a great time to be a Hawk.
Well, Coach, I know I speak for all of us when I say we're excited to get back to the games, and we're excited for what another fall on Hess Field on the Great Lawn will bring to this program. Excited to cover those games on our ESPN broadcast as well. We want to wish you continued health, to you, to your family. And I know before we say goodnight tonight, you mentioned it. One of the mentors that you mentioned, someone that you know pretty well in Bob. And I know that as we say goodnight to you, there's a lot of great soccer experience in that Turner household, a lot of wins, a lot of goals throughout the years. And I'll give you the final word here on our Hawk Talk. And I know that if we could see him through the backdrop, you have a special guest with you.
Yeah, my special guest. My special guest is coming. So when you are married to a coach. I think he's coming. Can you see him? Can we see him? Oh, barely.
You want me to sit on your lap?
So I am the head coach, and this is my life assistant who's trying to fit into the picture here. He's sort of there. But when you are married to a coach or the spouse of a coach, and then you put two coaches together in the same household, you need to hope that the seasons go well. And when you have two people who coach the same sport in the same season, it could lead to some rocky moments. But thankfully, we're both involved with very successful programs that win a lot. So it makes for happy times. But the one thing that I wanted to share with everyone is that my husband and I were both very accomplished athletes. For me, a few years ago, for him, just a little bit more than that. But we accomplished a lot as athletes. We've accomplished a lot as coaches. So when we first got together, which we'll be celebrating our 20th anniversary next week, I was fortunate enough to be inducted into 2 Hall of Fames. And in anything that I do, I keep score. So I was in 2 Hall of Fames and he was in none. So I was up 2-0, and we all know soccer, and 2-0 was a very dangerous lead. And I got complacent, and I'm very disappointed in myself. So before I knew it, he was inducted into 2 Hall of Fames, and then the score was 2-2. And then 2 years ago, I was lucky enough to be inducted into the New Jersey Youth Soccer Hall of Fame, so I went up 3-2. So I was pretty happy with that, but I knew that I couldn't take my foot off the gas. However, this weekend, he was supposed to be inducted into the Mercer County Soccer Hall of Fame, which the induction, I guess, is on hold due to the pandemic. So now the score is 3-3. So if anyone out there in the audience has any connections to any Hall of Fames where I can make a donation and get myself in, I would love to take a 4-3 lead and maybe even build further upon that. But living with a coach, being married to a coach has led to a great passion that we both share together in the love of sports. And he is one of our biggest fans. So thanks for jumping on.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for the time. And I would like to say that I, here with Krissy, I'm the ultimate assistant. Even though the score is tied 3-3, I'm never going to be able to pass her because, trust me, I'm never going to have my PhD at this point. So we love the game. I love being able to come down to Monmouth, to one of the most beautiful campuses in the country. And I've been all over the country in the past 30 years at the College of New Jersey, and also with the New Jersey Olympic Developmental Program, running the girls' side for 18 years. And Monmouth is a great place to be, and it is a great time to be at home. Thank you.
Well, Coach Bob, I will echo those sentiments as well, and thank you so much for joining us here on our second edition of Hawk Talk. If you missed this episode of Hawk Talk, presented by the Monmouth University Athletics Department with the Monmouth Digital Network, you can see it on monmouthhawks.com. You can also see it on all of our social media channels as well. We keep the soccer theme going this coming Tuesday when I'll be joined by the Monmouth men's head soccer coach, Rob McCourt. Make sure to get your questions into Coach McCourt as you did tonight for Coach Turner. That is this coming Tuesday at 7 p.m. For the head women's soccer coach, Krissy Turner, and her husband, Bob, I'm Eddie Acapinti, saying good night and thank you for watching Hawk Talk.